Some natural hazards we immediately associate with certain states. For example, if I say hurricanes, you'd probably think of Florida. Strong tornadoes, Oklahoma. Powerful earthquakes, California. But before the catastrophic event 2 Saturdays ago, about 50 miles north of Seattle, what would you have answered if I had said severe landslides? Well, the truth is you can make a strong case that Washington State is the landslide capital of the U.S. Here's an example. Each star here marks the location of a landslide. All of these occurred over just a few days back in January 2009. Now, what makes Washington State so vulnerable to landslides? Well, first you need lots of terrain and steep slopes. And this colorful topographic map, courtesy of Johns Hopkins, vividly shows that Washington has plenty of topography, with rapid changes in color indicating large variations in elevation over very short distances. Next, you can partially blame the last ice age. Yes, I said ice age. Washington is far enough north that glaciers covered the northern Cascades and Puget Sound about 10,000 years ago. And as the glaciers retreated, they left behind lots of loose material that's relatively porous and not very stable. At the same time, melting glaciers also left behind lakes, where finer clay particles settled out, and clay is more impermeable. Now, in Washington State, the looser sediment, which more easily saturates, has often ended up on top of the more waterproof clay, and that combination leaves the land susceptible to rapid movement of large chunks of soil. That is, severe landslides. Now, to saturate soil, you need rain, and the western slopes of the mountains in Washington get some of the heaviest in the country. The light green here means 90 to 120 inches of liquid a year on average, while the blues are more than 150. For comparison, most places in Pennsylvania average 40 to 50 inches of liquid a year, and it's about evenly distributed over the calendar. But in Washington State, most falls between October and March. Here's the monthly averages for Seattle, just as an example. And about 3/4 of the annual precipitation tends to occur in those 6 months. And even worse, the rain often comes in bunches, courtesy of strong southwesterly flow ahead of Pacific storms, streaming subtropical moisture into the state, sometimes dumping 10 or more inches of liquid on western slopes in just a day or two. And that's a perfect setup for landslides, including the one that occurred back on March 22nd. Other factors contribute too. For example, earthquakes are not uncommon in the Pacific Northwest, and they can initiate landslides. And then there's a human element. Washington is second in the nation in timber production, but losing old-growth forests means that more water reaches the ground, increasing the chances that the soil saturates and more easily moves. Plus, roots help bind soil together, so taking mature trees away reduces the stability of the land and increases the likelihood that slopes will fail. Put that all together and you have the recipe for a very landslide-prone region. I'd like to thank Professor Cliff Mass from the University of Washington for his help with much of the background material for this feature. Fred is back next with the extended forecast.